Hello, good afternoon, brothers. How are you? Please, someone shout out in the chat if you can hear me okay today. We are on a different microphone, so just want to check out that that's fine. But yeah, good afternoon. Hope you're all well. Thanks for tuning in to the stream. And we got 5 army lists to look at today, so it should be pretty good. The second I hear that I'm good and that you guys can hear me, we'll start. So hopefully just take a few seconds more. And if you are new here, or you are if you get value out of the stream at any point, thanks Northern Hero, appreciate it. Please hit that like button, because likes and comments and chat really help the stream a lot. So yeah, before we get started today, I just wanted to quickly mention that we are doing a giveaway this week, and it will be on Friday's video, so make sure you tune in to Friday's video. There'll be a very simple question in the video, and if you answer the question correctly, you will have a chance to win some of these boxes here. So I've got them. Hopefully you guys can see here that these are still in their cellophane. So we have the multi-part Blade Guard set here. So we've got 1 box of those. We have multi-part Eradicators. Someone was actually asking me about Eradicators last night, and I was like, I'm just doing my normal Eradicators, I don't have any multi-part ones, but we have multi-part ones here for giveaway. And then finally, we have the new Storm Speeder as well to give away, and I believe this kit lets you build any of the 3 variations. So again, you can see it, they're all still in cellophane. So we have them all here. We will be sending them out to the winners, I guess. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, we'll get it posted out to you, and that's happening on Friday, so please make sure you check out Friday's video if you want a chance to win. Sounds really Scottish, check the mic, yeah, okay. Please check out Friday's video if you want a chance to win some kits. They will be coming all the way from Scotland, so I despise Primaris Marines. Well, I mean, they are the new kits, and I'm sure a lot of people want them. If you despise them, then fair enough. You don't have to enter. Or maybe you could enter and give them. If you win it, you could give them as a present to, I don't know, someone in your gaming club or something like that. I mean, I don't care what you do with the kits, right? If you win them fair and square. So, cool. So that's what's happening on Friday anyway. And do you know what? Maybe in the future, if people really don't like Primaris kits, then maybe we can give away some more Blood Angels kits. But because these kits are brand new, I figured people would want them. So that's what I went and ordered for this giveaway. So good afternoon to all the usual suspects I see filtering in. Gitley, Rob, Highland, Mike, Jason, Mighty Joe, I think you might be new, but thank you very much for tuning in nonetheless. Okay, so armies that we have to review today, and we've got 5 lists to look at today as normal. Let me just close this. Apparently I can't. Close. And these lists today are by Alex Layton, Highland Phoenix, who I saw in the chat already, Gary Bell, Justin A, and I have no idea how to pronounce your name. I think it's maybe a Russian name, or I probably shouldn't have said it's Russian. I have no idea where you're from. I'm just gonna call you Crit with a capital K. Sorry, I do not know how to pronounce it. I'm sure I'll pronounce it badly. Someone says keep the Primaris coming. Yeah, they are great kits, John. Yeah, I think I have a bunch of Blade Guard veterans, and obviously I have a bunch of Eradicators. We were painting them on stream last night. I think they're cool kits. So, and I think there's space for them in the Blood Angels army. So, hopefully some of you guys will win them, and yeah, I mean, it'd be cool if you guys do win them to send a photo or something when they're painted to the Facebook group or on the page. Good morning from Western Canada. Well, good morning here from Scotland. And yeah, I don't know if Primaris are fully the future, but Primaris are definitely going to be popular. Alright, so just one final thing then, before we do get started. If you are new and you do want to have your list submitted or reviewed in the future, what you need to do is head over to the Blood Angels Commander channel. Then you would click over here on the community tab, and basically just post your list as a comment on the latest community post. So this is the one from last week. I'll probably be putting up a new community post this week about the giveaway. So just find the latest post, the one that's nearest to the top here, and post your comment. And in your comment there, you can just literally dump your whole army list. There's probably some examples here. Hopefully, like someone's just pasted an army out of Battlescribe. So I'll just pick them up from there and I'll add you to the queue. The queue just now is reasonably long, in that we have lists for 7 weeks in advance. But you might not have to wait 7 weeks. I keep a couple of spots each week for members, so you can join the channel and skip a lot of the queue if you become a channel member. But everybody is, we do reviews on everybody's lists. So that's where we are right now. So we're going to start with Alex today. And if you do have any questions in chat, Blood Angels related, or even 40k or rules related, that I can answer, I will try and answer them. And the folk that are always in chat are generally very knowledgeable as well. So I guess somebody in chat will probably be able to help you out if you have a random question that I can't help with. Okay. I'm not sure what you mean by GK, sorry. I'm not sure if they'll get them, but GK as well probably. Oh, you mean Grey Knights? Yeah, I don't know what's happening with Primaris and Grey Knights, I guess. I guess we're still waiting on a bunch of codexes for 9th edition, and until that happens, we won't really know fully what's happening in 9th. Good evening, Big Chief. Thanks for joining us today. Okay, so let's start with Alex, and he's left me a little sub note. I like it when people leave sub notes about the lists that maybe give me a little bit more context of how they think the list will play. So let's see. Here's one of my lists I would like to have a review. While I do not believe this is the most competitive list, I think it gives you a great overview of the types of units I run and the strategies I employ in my game. I've chosen my Master of Sanctity Chaplain to be my warlord. His primary role will be to support my squad of deep striking Vanguard veterans, in addition to providing some needed strength and toughness on the board. Using commanding oratory during the first movement/fight phase, I will hopefully be able to get them into combat turn 1. You can't deep strike in turn 1, so maybe you've made a little mistake here. The only way you can get in on turn 1 is with a drop pod. So you can use commanded oratory on turn 2, but you can't do this on turn 1. I've included a utility chief librarian and Terminator armor to support 2 squads of assault Terminators who will also be deep striking in turn 1 to command the mid board. I like to opt out Null Zone for Psychic Fortress depending on what army I'm facing. I find Psychic Fortress to be useful as the mid-board power as my other flute slugging units maneuver up the board within the range of the aura. The Sanguinary Priest, Chief Apothecary and Sanguinary Ancient are the linchpin of my army, utilising both the Objective Skewer and the Objective Deny relics for providing devastating firepower and close combat support. What this list lacks in heavy support, I think it makes up for the fast sweeping playstyle and control of the board mid turn 1. Yeah, so just I guess a little bit of a problem here in that this stuff can't deep strike turn 1, but I guess we'll assume that he just meant the first turn that they can join the battlefield. No, I don't. That's what I thought. There doesn't seem to be a drop pod here, and unless the list cut off early, but I don't think it did. Do I need to add these up real quick and see if he's missing some points? But see, the chaplain has a jump pack, so that tells me that he didn't. But it doesn't say if the Vanguard veterans have jump packs. Vanguard veterans with. I'm going to have to add this up, but it's. It must be a mistake actually, because he said that you would use the jump pack in commanding oratory early. So your jump pack chaplain couldn't be there if he was using a jump pack and the rest of the guys were just using a drop pod anyway. Okay, so I think it's just a mistake. I'm sure he just means the first turn that they can deep strike into. Has anyone put a scout beside a Primaris next to see what the difference is? Hilarious. Yeah, we put some regular Marines next to eradicators last night, and the difference is pretty large. With commanding oratory, can you pay CP to drop a litany outside of your command phase? Yes, you can. You can cast it any time. I believe the only requirement is that it hasn't already been cast that turn, and yeah, you can do it out with the command phase. So it's the one way to sort of get round the drop pod coming down, it's the one way to be able to cast a litany after Deep Strike. So, and I guess if you are the Master of Sanctity, like we are here, then that just costs you 1 CP. Excuse me. Okay, so as a chaplain with the Mantra of Strength, the Canticle of Hate, the Litany of Hate, the Jump Pack, the Master of Sanctity, Wise Orator, Icon of the Angel, and the Warlord. That's confused me giving those 1s and 2s, because normally they have like different numbers from Battlescribe, but that's fine. So Canticle of Hate is our to get the 7-inch charge, right? And then the 6-inch pile-in / consolidate, which is generally very good. We have the Librarian in Terminator Armor, who is the Veil of Time, the Psychic Fortress. He's also got Quickening, so to do that, he actually needs to have the Tomb of Malachor relic, which you don't seem to have on him either. So you can't mix psychic powers like this unless you have the Tomb of Malachor. So I guess you'd maybe have to drop the Imperium Sword and take the Tomb of Malachor instead. You already have 2 relics, so that might be a problem. But just be aware that like all your powers need to come from 1 discipline unless you have the Tomb of Malachor. And the other thing to say about that is there is like a lot of talk in competitive 40k right now about if the Tomb of Malachor even allows you to do that. But I believe at the moment it is being used by the top players, and it's actually been used in tournament winning lists, so I guess it's fine. But if you're just Chief Librarian, all your powers need to come from 1 discipline, so you cannot mix and match like you have done here. Then the Sanguinary Priest, who has Rites of War and the Teeth of Terra. And kind of interesting, I guess, to give the Sanguinary Priest the Teeth of Terra. I do think it's a good pick. If you pick Armor Indomitus on him, he's generally he's a little bit more survivable, but he's still not great. Whereas I guess with the Teeth of Terra, like your Sanguinary Priest would have like 8 attacks? Because I think he has like a base of 3, and then you could get +2 from a base of 3 attacks. So like +3 from the Teeth of Terra, and then +2 more from like Shock Assault and Savage Echoes. So it's 8 attacks, Weapon Skill 2. It would be basically Strength 5, 2 damage a pop. So I mean, it's not bad at all. It's just it's a big question mark, because to use the teeth you need to be in melee combat, which means you can then be countered and hit against. So, but sometimes it's a difficult one. Like sometimes it could be more worthwhile doing the damage and hoping, like if he's just trying to kill infantry, then he will kill a lot of infantry with this Teeth of Terra pick, and then maybe you're hoping that the enemy just doesn't have enough left to take out your Sanguinary Priest. So that is something to just consider. And then here we go for troops then. We have 3 Assault Intercessor squads and 1 Incursor squad. And they just have all the basic weapon options on them. I generally don't love Assault Intercessors. I think they're okay, but on some maps, for example, where there's like a lot of where there's a lot of objectives you need to hold, you end up holding them with Assault Intercessors that can't do anything because their bolt pistols are like 18 inches. So you end up wasting some of them. I mean, maybe I'm okay with 1 squad of Assault Intercessors, but I feel like 3 is just going to be too much. You're going to end up using 1 to hold a backfield objective or something, and they're going to end up doing nothing for the entire game. I've had that happen, and I mean, I guess like you could just take regular Intercessors with Stalker rifles so that they've got a decent bit of range. And I guess in the very near future, I guess you could even take Heavy Intercessors or Infiltrators or something that's just going to guarantee the backfield objective. And Assault Intercessors could be killed pretty easily as well from other if the enemy deep strikes in with a few different things, they can probably die pretty quickly too. Can someone just say something in chat real quick, because either my chat's lagging or no one is chatting right now. Okay, and then elite wise we have the Sangreal Ancient, who is the Vigils of Death, so he's -1 to hit and he removes obsec from units within 3 inches. And then this is a 9-man Sangreal Guard with 7 swords and bolt guns, and then a couple of pistols and a couple of power fists. Yeah, okay, thanks, Highland. I guess it's just a bit of a quieter afternoon. Then we have 2 Thunderhammer Terminator Assault Squads coming in at 215 points per turn, per squad, sorry, and they are absolutely fine. And then finally, it's the Vanguard Veterans. This squad is confusing me. I'm going to have to quickly do some maths on this squad because he doesn't mention jump packs. So did he just not pay for the jump packs? Vanguard Veterans, I feel like... Yeah, let me just do this with this math. So he's got 10 Vanguard Veterans, and I usually take them with jump packs and storm shields, which is 25 points per model, but just naked they're 19 points per model. So 10 of them would be 190 points. We then have 14 lightning claws, so that would be 6 times 14, which is 82. 6 times 14, no, 84. Yeah, 84. So 190 plus 84, 274 plus 2 storm shields, 282 plus 2 power fists, 298 plus another storm shield. Right, this squad is wrong because I haven't even added jump packs yet. Let me write it on the line then. So like 10 Vanguard Veterans is at 190 points, 14 Lightning Claws at 3 points per Lightning Claw is 3 point. I was doing 6, that's why I'm confused. 3 points per Lightning Claw is 42. Storm Shields are 4, and powers. I'm sure the power fists are 8 on these guys. Yeah, so it's 12. So that's 24. And then the Relic Blade is 10 and the Storm Shield is 14. So I should probably just try and not do the math in my head. Alright, so he's missed the jump packs on this. So you would need... it's 3 points per jump pack, isn't it? Or no, it's just... Sorry, 2 points per jump pack. Right, so these guys are missing jump packs. So... hopefully that's just another little mistake here. Will the Thunder Cannon be a good, cheap, heavy support? On Messiah, I think if you're wanting to take heavy support for Blood Angels right now, you should really think about the Whirlwind, just because the Whirlwind has that amazing stratagem. And I know it is a little bit more expensive than a Thunderfire Cannon. Well, it's actually probably quite a bit more expensive. A Thunderfire Cannon... Do you know what? It's actually not. Thunderfire Cannon's 120 points. I forgot they put them up loads because everyone was using them last edition. Yeah, take a Whirlwind. It's like going to be literally 5 more points, and you get like an amazing stratagem that stops all Overwatch for a whole turn, and also makes any enemies fight last. So even if they charge you, they would fight after you. So that's a pretty amazing stratagem for 1 CP. It's called Suppression Fire. Yeah, sorry, claws are only 3 points each. But regardless, this last squad of Vanguard Veterans is a little bit of a mistake. So there's a couple of small mistakes in this list. I don't know quite how long Alex has been playing, because he didn't mention that. But yeah, I mean, the HQs for the list seem solid enough. I mean, they make sense. You know, the deep striking. I mean, everything could deep strike on the list. The troops have got a little bit of a problem with quite so many assault intercessors. I feel like some of them will be wasted. I do like having all these Thunder Hammers when you have the Sanguinary Guard, because the Sanguinary Guard are a little bit weaker now against like Dreadnoughts and anything else that's going to have -1 damage. I really want to actually do some Math Hammer on that, because I just want to make it. I just want to know exactly how good the Sanguinary Guard are now against units that have -1 damage. Thank you, Tom, and good luck on your 16-mile run. I did a few miles this morning, but nowhere near 16. And then Vanguard Veterans with Lightning Claws. We looked at these guys last week, and generally they're very good. I guess you need to change the squad out a little bit. I also really like Vanguard Veterans with Storm Shields, but I guess if you've got 10 Terminators with Storm Shields, then it might not be such a big issue. And yeah, I mean, the one thing you could do is you could definitely have these Terminators as a single squad and decide at the start of the game if you wanted to combat squad them. I say that, but I assume that Terminators can still be combated squad. I haven't combated squad of Terminators. I don't think I've played Terminators in a 10-man squad in like 3 or 4 editions, but I assume that you can still combat squad Terminators. Yes, you can. Okay, so you could start them as a 10 and combat squad them at the beginning of the game if you felt it was more. I would never take suppressors. Some people swear by suppressors. I suppose it really depends on what sort of army you're up against. I always wanted one for the Tremor Shell strategy was good, but the Whirlwind Suppression Fire strategy is just better. Yeah, I think that's where we stand right now. The Whirlwind is just better. Yeah, you just literally need a Rhino chassis and something that you could use as a missile launcher. And you can sometimes find those missile launchers on like 3D printed websites for like $5 or $10 for the. So if you don't need to buy a full Whirlwind and you just want like a launcher, there's some places that will just sell those launchers. I mean, the suppressors are good, but they only prevent Overwatch from infantry units. And yeah, I mean, Robert, I don't know, I'm not sure if I've seen you in stream before, but go read the suppression fire stratagem for the Whirlwind, because it doesn't just stop Overwatch, it stops them fighting in combat. Basically they have to fight last. It's kind of like the Judicar ability. So if they have something massive, like Mortarion, like a lot of people are scared of Mortarion at the moment. If you shot Mortarion with suppression fire and then Mortarion charged you, you would still get to choose to fight your units before Mortarion, which is pretty massive. And you're right, I did forget again to put the list name in the top right hand corner. Thank you for keeping me right. Okay. Cool. So a couple of minor mistakes in this list, but overall, I mean, I get the picture, and I think having our elites look something like this in general is pretty good. Like I tend to run Sanguinary Guard, Vanguard Veterans, Death Company. I don't run the Ancient so much. I don't think he's so survivable anymore, and I see in this list we're actually not. We're not using the Ancient for the Wrath of Baal, which I guess a lot of people do. So if you're not going to use the Ancient for the Wrath of Baal, maybe there's a better way to spend these 125 points. Because, I mean, the Sanguinary Ancient, he's just basically like... if you compare him against 4 Sanguinary Guard... so 4 Sanguinary Guard have like more wounds, more attacks... it's more models, like a 4-man Sanguinary Guard costs 120 points. So, is this guy worth 4 Sanguinary Guard if you're not going to use that relic? I wouldn't have thought so. It's kind of hard to justify the pick for like the minus obsec when you already have he already had Rites of War here on the Sanguinary Priest, right? And I think a lot of people, every list we get every week include Rites of War for usually one character, and Visage of Death. Like, these things have such high pick rates, but you know, like, if you think about what he's got here in terms of elites, right? 10 Vanguard Veterans, 10 Sanguinary Guard, 10 Assault Terminators. If these guys pile into an objective to do some close combat, you're probably going to outnumber your opponent, and you're probably going to end up murdering them pretty effectively, right? I know that normally when, like, my Sanguinary Guard run into an opponent, and this is a friggin' 9-man squad, so you can have basically, 45 attacks. If you're near your Warlord, you can be hitting pretty much everything on 2s, and you can be re-rolling again. You know, you've got the Litany of Hate on the Chaplain, so you could be literally re-rolling everything, hitting on 2s, and those Power Fists would hit on 3s. So out of your 45 attacks, you're probably going to end up with like 40 plus hits. So what's going to survive 40 plus hits? Not a whole lot. Do you really need to have 2 ways to add OBSEC and remove OBSEC? Because I think you've got enough killing power here. So I would probably... You know, we just talked about how great a Whirlwind was for 125, 135 points. I drop the Sanguinary Priest in this list, or Sanguinary Ancient, sorry, and get a Whirlwind. Because these units will do a lot better if they can guarantee that they can fight first, and they can also guarantee they can fight first in the opponent's turn as well. And that's the strength of the Whirlwind right now. So that's kind of what I would think. We do not have a Discord yet. It's something that we're going to be setting up. We've been using a Facebook group up until now, but yeah, probably in the next couple of weeks, after I get a few more videos out, we'll look at getting a Discord group set up. We were talking about it on the stream that we did last night. So, how does this list score then? Is where we're going to go next. And yeah, I mean, I've got no problem with HQs. We're kind of limited with HQs, and I guess there was a mistake here in that he has to change out 1 psychic power. But 3 HQs for us right now. There's so many good choices. The Utility Librarian, the Sanguinary Priest, I guess Chaplains, Chapter Masters. I don't actually really rate many of the Blood Angels characters, and I guess not many people are actually running those Blood Angels characters based on the lists that we get submitted each week, right? Yeah, Chaplains, Chapter Masters really seem to be where we are. And then, do you know what? No one, barely anyone, maybe somebody, but barely anyone has submitted like a list with a Death Company Captain in it. Because I think the Death Company Captain is actually in a really interesting place right now. He's very cheap, and he can be made very survivable and be given like a Hammer of Baal or with Teeth of Terror. I believe you can get 11 attacks hitting on 2s. He just absolutely shred infantry. So no one's really doing that as well, but that's definitely something that we should, we could think about. So, I missed something. I like how fast they are. They're great to shoot in and grab an objective, contest one, plus they smack in combat because they're Blood Angels. You're talking about the Contemptor Dreadnought. I consider turning off Overwatch as a bonus. I like the 2 damage guns, but I'm going to have to start playing with Heavy Intercessor and see how they do, because I like having a backfield shooter. Yeah, I mean, the Whirlwind is a very good backfield shooter, and yeah, I mean, Death Guard have that insane new... The Death Guard have some sort of new relic. I think it's carried by the Taliman or something, and it makes everything within 7 inches fight last, and it also makes units count as if they've not charged. So we really need a way to have some sort of counterplay against that, and Veil of Time isn't going to help. Veil of Time will help against some armies, but against Death Guard it's not going to help at all. So I mean, I guess that's kind of why my Blood Angels army at the moment sits... I feel like the Whirlwind's kind of an auto-include. Like, you need it against certain armies, or you're going to have a really tough time in melee. Primaris Marines are awful and should have never been made. Okay, Joe. The problem that we have right now with troop choices is Primaris troop choices are way better and way stronger than the old Marine troop choices, so I guess we have to consider that. But yeah, this list has some synergy, but a little bit. I think there's some tweaks that we could make to do it. So, for OBSEC, I think it's like a 9 or something. Like he doesn't have great synergy with three squads of assault intercessors. Like, I would like to see at least swap out one more for Phobos troops, maybe even as far as two more, because there's only one stratagem that boosts assault intercessors, so you can only use that effectively really once per turn. So having 3 squads of them, you're never going to be able to use it more than once, right? So like maybe having 2 squads of them is okay, but 3 seems like too much. Again, this list kind of struggles a little bit in shooting, in that there is very little shooting in this entire list. We have some Angelus bolt guns, and then we have, 1 squad of incursors, but if the enemy has a lot of like chaff units to bog us down and stop us hitting key targets, then this list is going to have a pretty tough time. So I kind of want to say like the anti-infantry version is like a 7.5. Maybe like your Vanguard veterans can get in there and absolutely destroy chaff units, but it's not, like you can't destroy the chaff with Vanguard veterans in one turn and in the same turn get the Sangari Guard into the high value targets. Maybe you can do some work with the chain swords, but I mean the chain swords, to me, they'll be moving across the board slowly, and I feel like they're not going to be exactly where you need them to be early enough in the game. So probably going to score us down a bit for that. Anti-vehicle and monsters, right? There's a ton of Thunderhammers, there's a ton of Sanguinary Guard. Oops, lost where it was. I mean, the Vanguard veterans are more equipped here to kill infantry. I kind of feel like this ancient is maybe a little bit of wasted points, and yeah, I'm struggling a little bit with this list. I guess the monster stuff is okay. I mean, it is 700 points or something of heavy killing, but Thunderhammer Terminators aren't the most amazing models. I suppose when they have the Savage Echoes buff up, they're pretty decent, but before that, they just have like, what is it? I want to say it's 2 attacks on a Terminator with Thunderhammer. So literally, by the time you factor in that you're... it's 2 attacks on a Terminator with Thunderhammer, so by the time you factor in the fact that the Thunderhammer is -1 to hit, early game, these guys just... In turn 2, when you drop them down, these guys literally have they literally hit once, right? Because they've got 2 attacks. I suppose you could charge and you could say, but you're only going to get like 4 or 5 Thunderhammer hits, maybe on a good day like 8. I guess you can pay some CP to buff them. It's probably going to be worth doing, and you can get up to 10. But yeah, I mean, it's tricky as well because they obviously have to make a deep strike charge, and deep strike charges are never reliable, right? Like, you always have to factor in that if you do drop down a unit to deep strike charge, there's a chance it's not going to happen. So yeah, I mean, like, maybe it's an 8.5 for this. The mobility for the list, I guess, is generally decent. The HQs are all mobile. If we'd had some more Phobos troops, they could be a bit more mobile with guerrilla tactics. I really struggle to see the value of the Sangari Ancient without the Wrath of Baal. I mean, I struggle to see them with the Wrath of Baal, so without, I really struggle. And then, I guess your Terminators are reasonably mobile with the Deep Strike, but once they're on the board, they're not so mobile. So I think mobility is like an 8. I don't think it should be too much of a problem. I mean, mobility generally isn't a problem for Blood Angels, and there is some tricks we have, like Upon Wings of Fire. So I guess you could consider that as well. But yeah, and then finally the specialization for the list. So I guess for anyone that's new, specialization is what we decide if the list is too specialized. Like does it all hinge on a certain thing, or are there too many of one type of troops? And I guess it isn't super specialised, and it does have a good variety, but I do have some problems with like 3 squads of assault intercessors. Like, a lot of them will die in no man's land running across the board. They're also not great at holding objectives. And then I do have, I guess, a little problem with Sangari Ancient, and that he doesn't really synergise much except for the obsecking. yeah, and I guess we have to figure out the quickening power. So I'd be generous and say like specialization is like an 8. I think it's rounded, but yeah, I think that list would need some tweaks. And I guess I guess I'd drop this and get a whirlwind. I'd drop this and get like another squad of Phobos units. I guess I'd pick up jump packs on the Vanguard veterans. I'd possibly lose. If I drop this, then I'd take his relic and I'd give it to Librarian Terminator, and in Librarian Terminator armor, and give him the Tomb of Malkador. And then I guess you get one more power from the Space Marine powers, and yeah, I think that would make the list stronger. But personally, I like to run a little bit more heavy gunfire in a list, be it some Eradicators, be it some attack bikes with multi-meltas. I don't generally recommend taking 4 troop choices. I don't know if you've watched my video, Alex, when we talked about how to score points on primaries, and in 9th edition, the video was called like Blood Angels 101, and basically I said that like in most of the maps you just need to hold 2 objectives, right, to score a lot of points from your primaries. So if we only worry about holding 2 every turn to get those sort of 10 points for the 4 turns, and that gets us 40 of the 45 points, then do we really need 4 troop choices with all this obsec and stuff? Like, you're putting a lot of value on primaries, and I don't know if you need to put as much value on them as that, because I seem to be able to do primaries with sort of like, well, 1 less troop choice, and generally if I don't cap primaries I'm usually scoring at least 40, right? So I guess you just have to think about that as well. And yeah, it's a bit of a few small improvements I think in this list could be quite a bit stronger, but yeah, I mean, it's a bit different from what we normally see, I guess. I haven't run 10 Assault Terminators since the very start of 9th edition, so I haven't played enough to know if these guys are really pulling their weight for their 215 points. Like I said, the one game I played 5 of them in, I dropped them down, they failed their charge, and they pretty much got shot off the board. So I don't know, but I guess that's a risk of doing the deep strike, as we mentioned. Okay, so list 1 was Alex, and he scores 41 out of 50. I think it's okay, but I think there's definitely improvements that could be made here. Do you know what? Maybe, yeah, I definitely think there could be improvements made. Alright, cool. Next up then is our good friend and someone that's always in the chat. Every week he's here for the stream, so thank you for being here, and it is Highland Phoenix. Cool. Good morning, Mark. Thanks for tuning in. How are you? So Highland says, "Hi, BA Commander. Don't bump anyone for reviews, as you've already gone through a lot of the previous version of my list, but I was wanting your opinions on an attempt to shoehorn in a whirlwind into the list. Basically what we've just talked about. I lost a guard, DC, and a couple of bikes for it, along with a couple of other tweaks, including a utility librarian. 9th edition, 2000 points, version 5. It's funny that you put like V5 after your lists, man, because my lists are exactly the same. It's like I am on V12 or something of my 9th edition list. Alright, so 2 Heroes of the Chapter, 2 Relics of the Chapter, the Angels Exemplar, the Angels Ascendant, and I love this, actually. Like, I think you can start with 6 CP and do pretty decent in 9th edition, because you get 1 CP a turn, so it really gives you 11 CP for the game. I think that we're not I don't think we're a hungry force anymore in terms of CP, so I think starting with 6 is absolutely fine, and I think you'll get a lot of value. So we've got 2 extra relics, we've got 2 extra Heroes of the Chapter, we've got our Warlord with like basically a second Warlord trait, and we've got like a Sergeant somewhere with some special issue war gear. So this is actually 1 further than my current list. I just do these 5, but interesting to see this list. So alright, let's get into it. So it's the same chaplain with the jump pack. He has a Crozius and he's an Infernal Pistol, a very aggressive chaplain here actually. Canticle of Hate, Mantra of Strength. He is the wise orator. He is the icon of the angel, which makes sense, I guess. And he's also going to take the adamantium mantle. Okay, interesting. So he's still only toughness 4 there, but I guess he is the wise orator. He can drop down, and he does have that 5+ feel no pain now, so quite a bit more survivable than a normal chaplain. We do have the sanguinary priest, who is the chief apothecary with a selfless healer, and then he is the armor indomitus, and we just literally talked about or the teeth of terra. Yeah, that's a situational pick, really. And it can be a very tough pick to make, because sometimes you just want him to survive in the battlefield, but other times you think to yourself, wow, if this guy had just had a few more attacks, a few more strength or -1, then when I was playing my super heavy tank list, I was usually starting on 5 CP. It costs like 4 CP just to include the super heavy tank, so I wouldn't. I think I don't know if I'd be comfortable starting on less than 5 CP, but yeah, less than 8 is absolutely fine. And then Librarian with the jump pack, who is the Force Axe and Infernal Pistol. Heads up, if you have this model and you haven't finished him, dude, literally cut off the axe and put a sword on him. When I did the math hammer for this in the video, the sword performed better in every single situation. So maybe in some edge cases the axe is better, but like I would just change it for sword. He is the chief librarian. He has Null Zone, Veil of Time, and Psychic Fortress. All 3 of these picks are very common, strong, and I do like how you've sort of mixed it up by putting an Infernal Pistol on both. I didn't even know the librarian could take an Infernal Pistol, honestly. But yeah, I mean, like, it does mean that when you're in combat for more than a turn, being able to do a little sneaky Infernal Pistol at close range, that definitely is a nice thing to have. I find I have to pay for Forlorn Fury plus Commanding Orator, Adaptive Strategy, all in turn 1, and that's 6 CP blown away. See, Forlorn Fury for me is a situational one, and I generally don't go after it because I think there's 2 ways to play with Blood Angels, right? You either go full Forlorn Fury and you go very aggressive, or you sort of sit and are happy to do not too much work on turn 1. And I guess the way I tend to play is like I kind of just try and set up my positioning in turn 1 to make those key moves in turn 2, and as such I don't need to blow Commanding Oratory or Forlorn Fury right away at the beginning of the game. So I guess maybe if you're doing that and you need all those CP, then maybe this is too much, but I like this because generally, like, a hero of the chapter or a relic of the chapter will affect your army for the entire game, right? Whereas like a 2 CP for a Forlorn Fury will affect 1 turn, and I generally think that you get more value out of this. I've made something for you. Want to see it? Yeah, I mean, sure, you could link something if you've made something. That's not a problem. Okay, and then elites. So we have the company champion, and it is the bolt pistol, mastercrafted power sword, and a combat shield. And yeah, I mean, this is pretty much the character that I'm running. This guy now. I'm in the middle of painting him, and he is the chapter champion, and he has the rights of war, and he has the shield and eternal. Or I mean, you could have the Blade of Triumph, the Archangel Shard, still undecided. Yeah, I think the company champion is very good. I think he's very good even if you don't give him the relic, right? Because he gets so many attacks. I think he gets 7 attacks, weapon skill 2, and I guess making him Rights of War is probably going to combo up nicely if you're in the middle of the board with some sort of heavy unit. So let's see what else we have. We have the Sanguinary Guard, and it's a 7-man, 230 points, Infernal Pistols and Power Fists, and then the rest bolt guns. So this makes sense. We have the Death Company, 2 Thunder Hammers, Power Axes and Infernal Pistols, and then Chainsword and Bolt Pistols. The Power Axes seem like a strange choice. I mean, maybe they're not. I just commonly don't run them. I assume that they cost like 5 points for a Power Axe on Death Company. Power axe, yeah, 5 points. And what is it? Is it just plus? Is it basically like an Encarmite axe, but no, like just 1 damage? Power axe. Yeah, so it's basically strength 6 minus 2, 1 damage. Okay, 5 points. I mean, sure. I don't know. I don't know if you'd be better just putting like 1 power fist as opposed to 2 power axes, but I mean, it's probably minor. And then Relic Terminator's 5 man, so Sergeant of the Grenade Harvest, Stormbolter, and Chain Fist. He has the special issue War Gear, so we can get those Quake Bolts to give us the nice +1 to hit in close combat. And then full on Reaper autocannon and full Chain Fist squad. So this is very much like your anti-vehicle hunting Chain Fist squad, which is cool. And then small group of veterans. I guess these guys with their storm shields will be probably Rights of Warring with this company champion somewhere. They're also being to be bodyguards for him. And 3 Stormbolters and 1 Lightning Claw. I actually am building 2 of these guys right now with just 2 Lightning Claws, so you'll need to let me know how the Stormbolters work out for you. I hate the Librarian models never come with a sword except Mephiston. Yeah, I don't know why. Like, I literally had to just... The only Librarian model that seems to come with a sword is the Phobos one, so I guess you could convert a Phobos one, put them on a smaller base, and that might work. That's true that the Dark Angels ones do usually come with a sword. The Reaper is just because I have Crimson Paladins with a fancy assault cannon, but its stats are not great just compared to a Stormbolter. Do you know what? The Reaper autocannon to me seems okay. What is it, like heavy 4, strength 7? I think it's -2, 1 damage. I mean, it's a little bit better than a regular autocannon, and if you've got cool models and you want to show them off, then why not, you know? It's not going to make or break the squad, I guess. And then troops, we have the Intercessors with auto bolt rifles and a power fist. We have the Incursors, 2 squads. Alright, so, I mean, this is good. 2, yeah, the Phobos Librarian has a sword. He is Primaris 1, yeah? But yeah, I mean, I think the swords and I guess magnets probably is the way forward, but I just cut my axe off and made it into sword. I submitted a list last week. Can I make a change to it? Yeah, Tom. Are you down for next week? Are you? Yeah. If you just submit your new list in the comment section, I'll go ahead and put it. I'll go ahead and update it for next week. That's not a problem at all. Last game I played, I stacked Soul Warden with Evox Imperatism, giving me a 9-inch 5+ Feel No Pain aura on my captain. It took the guy 30 Necron Warriors and a Stalker to drop my Blade Guard to 1 guy with 1 wound each. You know that Feel No Pain aura from Soul Warden is only good for mortal wounds, right, Joe Flo? It doesn't affect, like, it's only good against mortal wounds. So I don't... Maybe it sounds like you were playing that a little bit wrongly. I'm convinced it is. Sorry, Soul Warden's in the Blood Angels book. Let me double check that. Soul Warden. Yeah, it's only good against mortal wounds. So I guess maybe you just need to double check that. What do I think of heavy flamer aggressors? You know, aggressors are an interesting one in that they used to be a lot stronger. You know, they used to be able to move and advance and fire with no penalty. I guess the flamers are... what am I trying to say? I guess the flamers are better, right? Because they don't have any minus to move and shoot. So you have that going for you. And I mean, aggressors have a bunch of power fists and they have Gravis armor. Do I think aggressors are a decent squad? I mean, I think they're still 135 points per model. So I think you can make aggressors work. I think last edition aggressors were super strong for Blood Angels, right? Because last edition you could run the aggressors around the standard of sacrifice and, get that 5+ feel no pain. But I mean, if you're comboing up with the Sanguinary Priest, I think aggressors can still work there. And obviously you can res them every turn. And resing a 45-point model is generally very strong. This is one of the reasons that I said a Centurion with a Priest is very good as well. Because obviously resing a Centurion's like 55 or even 70 points per model. So resing a 70 point per model, if you manage to do that every turn, you've literally added 350 extra points to your army. I wouldn't roast you, by the way, Tom, for 2 suppressor squads. Someone ran 2 suppressor squads like last week or 2 weeks ago now, and I mean, they're not going to kill a huge amount of stuff, but I mean, they do prevent a ton of Overwatch, and against certain armies it could be very useful. Against Necrons with those heavy Gauze Reapers, it could definitely be useful. Pepag, I'm not entirely sure where you sent that. You need to let me know. I just checked my email, I'm not seeing it there. Okay, aggressors just have normal flamers. Yeah, I think it's 2 normal flamers they have. Yeah, I mean, the way to do that, if you're going to use the Voxum Spiritum, I guess, would be to use it on a Sanguinary Priest, Joe Flo. Make the Sanguinary Priest your Warlord, give him the Selfless Healer, and then use that. And that would give you a big bubble of like a 6+ Feel No Pain. But yeah, the 5+ Feel No Pain. That's what we had last edition. And that was super good. But you know what? Soul Warden may be very good against armies that kick out a lot of mortal wounds, like Grey Knights, like Necrons, C'tans, like Thousand Suns, anything that's kicking out a lot of mortal wounds. Alright, and then let's finish up Highland's list. So we're looking at bikes with the Biker Sergeant with a Combi Melta and twin bolt guns. We've got 5 bikers with chainswords, and then we've got multi-melta with twin bolt guns, and then we've put the Whirlwind, obviously put in there. It's the Whirlwind's inclusion worth the loss of the models from the units, and what do you think of the latest version of this list overall? Okay, so Chaplain, Priest, Librarian, Company Chaplains, Sanguinary Guard, Death Company, Relic Terminators, Company Veterans, Intercessors and Cursors, Bikes, and the Whirlwind. So you're basically paying, I don't know the value, this is 190 points of bikes. I don't personally know the value of this because I do not run it myself. If I'm running attack bikes, Highland, I'm running just 3 attack bikes with multi-meltas for 165 points or something. So I don't know the value of this. Everything else seems, like the Sanguinary Guard, the Death Company, and then having that, in my list, these are just Vanguard veterans rather than Terminators, but it's the same sort of 3 heavy hitting close combat elite units, and then yes, I have a company champion and some company vets to basically storm an objective or hold the middle with their storm shields, generally be a bit survivable. I think the Whirlwind's probably worth its weight in gold right now against certain armies. So we need to give that a bit of value, and thanks for following Pedlag. So yeah, I mean, I think I feel like we can't have, if you want to be really competitive right now, I feel like you need this Librarian and you need this Whirlwind. They're the meta, was talking about this the other night on the hobby stream, in that as this meta moves on, we see it every edition, right? The new codexes that come out are stronger. The Death Guard have some crazy strong rules, right? So as more codexes will come out, every faction or every chapter will get some crazy strong rules. And I believe in last edition, Blood Angels got the Psychic Awakening book halfway through the edition, and at that point we were actually kind of weak. And the Psychic Awakening book gave us the Savage Echoes rule and kind of, brought us up to a fighting strength. I thought we were okay, but maybe a little bit on the weak side. So, yeah, I think where we are right now, the Whirlwind and the Librarian are non-negotiable. And as much, maybe you can, if you have the Whirlwind, maybe you can drop the Librarian and take, our Librarian Dreadnought and just hope that you're not going to have too many fight last things to deal with. But, I feel like as a general rule of thumb, to be strong against all the lists, you need those 2 things. As I say, you'll be better than me. The bikes literally soak up a lot of fire. with mobility and some nice firepower. Recommend, but yes, a lot of points. But they're there to take fire early on. Yeah, I mean, like, I guess when you look at it this way, you could have the bikes, or you could have a Redemptor Dreadnought, or you could have a Contemptor with like that new Volkite cannon, the missile launcher, and the claw. So I guess, like, what are you going to get more value out of, the bikes or a Redemptor Dreadnought or something like that? I mean, so I guess that's something to consider. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sure which one would be best. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people. I mean, the mobility of the bikes and the fact that there's a lot of bikes to kill to get to this multi-melta is maybe decent. Would 3 bikes with multi-meltas be stronger? Maybe. I don't think I mind anything else that you dropped though. Like a couple of guard and a death company and a couple of bikes for the whirlwind. I think it's a must. So yeah, overall. What we'll do is we'll score the list, and I guess it'll be up to you to just decide if you feel it's the most survivable. I do personally. It's like a pet hate of mine. I hate that all of our characters are toughness 4 and that they die so easy. So if there's any way that I can run characters that are not toughness 4, that's what I like to do. So that's why I'm running like 2 of my characters on bikes. So one's toughness 6 and one's toughness 5. And it does make a huge difference for their survivability as but yeah, you're right. 22 wounds on the bikes, multiple models. I'm sure they do soak up a lot of fire. They can contest objectives. They can lock units up in combat, and also they can just pop multi-meltas. I guess they can pop pretty much close range multi-meltas as well because the bikes have a 14-inch move, right? Okay, I love the objective focused nature of this edition. It really rewards player skill. Yeah, I mean, I generally really like this, the new point scoring. So there's that. So okay, so let's go ahead and score this list. Yeah, let me double check. You had Rights of War on the company champion. Okay, so you've got 2 full boss units, and you've got Rights of War to basically contest another one, and then I guess you've got some auto intercessors who I guess will probably contest midfield and do their auto bolt rifle things. We have to stick to our jump pack characters as Blood Angels, otherwise it'd be chaos. So many people don't like the bike characters. I love them. They're so strong. I guess as soon as the next lockdown ends, you'll see the bike characters wreaking havoc in every game, and you'll be able to decide from there. So I think it's a 9. I think if you'd had the 3 full boss units, maybe it could be 9.5. But I mean, I think your objective holding is fine. I think you have some stuff that can deal with hordes. Like, I guess you have a lot of bolt guns here. You have a lot of storm bolters and the Reaper autocannon. You have more storm bolters here. We have the 2 squads of incursors. We have the auto bolt rifles. And then obviously the Sanguinary Guard do a decent bit of shooting as well. I probably just ignore the Death Company. The Death Company, for me, they never kill anything with their guns. Maybe the odd pistol. But yeah, so we're looking at like I think we're looking at like an 8.5. I think if you'd wanted to have like 9 or something, maybe it's hard for me. Like I say, I don't play these bikes, but like all these twin bolt guns against like a Redemptor or a Contemptor Dreadnought, like what's gonna kill more things? I mean, the bolt guns I guess will kill shaft units, but like a Redemptor with like a Macroplasma and an Onslaught and a Rocket Pods and like a Storm Bolter, it'll generally probably do just as much, maybe even a little bit more, is where I feel it stands. So yeah, maybe like an 8.5. The monster killing, or vehicle and armor killing. This squad is really interesting actually. All these chain fists with +1 to hit. I like this a lot. This sort of negates the whole weakness of these guys, or the that they maybe have. Then we have a decent amount of Thunderhammers, or 2 Thunderhammers, and we also have 2 Infernal Pistols here, which I like as well. So if these guys ever survive more than 1 round of combat, they can shoot off those pistols. And I guess you've got the same thing going on here, right? So it's like, if the enemy if they ever leave any of those guys alive, then they're going to have to deal with some Infernal Pistols to the face, which is generally pretty strong. I've had that work out for me and just do a ton of damage before. So anti-vehicle and monster, I think we're going to go with a 9. Mobility wise, I guess the bikers probably keep you super mobile. You have 1 squad of troops that aren't mobile. We have the elites and the veterans that are not really, but I mean it's minor. And then all our HQ are mobile, so I think it's like a 9. And then specialization, well, I think the specialization is high as well, because we've we've got the key things that we need right now. Like, we've got this utility librarian. Good evening, Tony. How you doing? We've got the Castellan launcher. So I think we could probably score that pretty high as well. Yeah, I just have a big question mark over the bikes. I've never owned or I've never run bikers, and I've never really played against anyone that's made me think like, because normally when you buy a model, right, you play against somebody else and they have that model, and that model destroys you in the battlefield, and you think, oh damn, I need to buy that model. Or someone tells you a story. I don't know if anyone's ever told me a story about the bikers, and you know what, my experience with the Outriders has been bad as well. Like, I just didn't have good experiences with Outriders. So yeah, I mean, I think overall, I think we can probably go with a 9 as well for specialization. And I guess your call on these bikes, right? Like, I just can't give you a score because I've never overly rated. I've never run that many. I'm going to have a quick look in the book at the actual profiles of those bikes, but I believe they only get 1 attack, right? And then you get 2 attacks, so you've got the chainsword. So it's 4 attacks per bike, and then you just have an auto bolt rifle, which is basically like strength 4, 0 AP, 1 damage, and I guess it's rapid fire 1. Rapid fire 2, sorry. Yeah. So the sergeant gets 1 additional attack, but your regular bikers just get 2. Yeah, it's interesting. I guess if this list doesn't perform well for you, then I would say all you need to do is consider swapping out some of these for Squad of Eradicators or a Redemptor Dreadnought, or just some more bikes with the multi-meltas. And then I guess what you could do at that point is maybe you could break this off into a patrol and take like a CP hit or something and get like a 4th character in here. I do think there's a lot of... I think my lists going forward, I'm going to be running 4 characters. I think there's place in Blood Angels, especially with how good some of the characters are. Like that chaplain on a bike for 115 points. I think he's super good. So I guess just consider that. But yeah, no, I think it's a pretty solid list, Highland. Hopefully that was helpful. But yeah, I mean, what's mad to me though here really is like your Primaris chaplain on a bike is literally 5 more points, and he has what, like 2 more wounds and 1 more toughness. I mean, that's a lot of survivability for 5 points, which is why I I just think that our as Blood Angels we're strongest in turns 3, 4, and 5, right? So we need to be alive in turns 3, 4, and 5 to do the most damage, and that is why I really like those characters with additional wounds and additional toughness. I already run 4 characters. People take it to assassination against me. Yeah, I mean, if you take 3 characters with a Sanguinary Ancient, sorry, it's the exact same thing, right? It's still essentially 4 characters. It's just, I guess when I say 4 characters, I mean 4 HQ. Okay. Alright, so that was a pretty high scoring list today. Highland 44.5, and I think if you're trying to be super competitive at the moment, I think you need to consider the Whirlwind in your list. Like, I actually have a feeling that at some point that Whirlwind stratagem may get nerfed. It's that good, but yeah, that's kind of what I think right now. Okay. So moving on to list 3 today, and this is from Gary, and he's from Northern Ireland. He's been a 40k player since 3rd edition, and I have a Grey Knights collector from 4th edition to 8, and I've decided to bring a new chapter. Okay. And from my list below, I will always be playing Death Guard, Ultra Smurfs, or Custodes. We generally play objective skewer type missions. I've been watching vids, and my choice of Mephiston is purely this guy's a badass choice. The Chaplain, I prefer the jump pack, however I'm planning on picking up the bike version because I can't argue with the math. Yeah, see, this guy knows what he's talking about, Highland. He can't argue with the math, unlike you who argue with the math because the jump pack is cool. I mean, you've got enough jump packs in your list, Highland, anyway, man. Surely you're like discriminating the characters. Surely your HQ are discriminating against bikes, and in like 2021 you need to be inclusive, and to be inclusive your HQ need to include 1 bike, otherwise that's discrimination. So this guy knows what he's talking about, Gary Bell. Okay, so he's got the Warlord, and he really knows what he's talking about because we've got a captain on the bike, Thunderhammer, Storm Shield. He's the Chapter Master, he's the Artisan of War, he has the Gift of Foresight, and he's the Angel's Exemplar. He's missing something. Oh, right, so I guess the Artisan of War probably means he was going into Adamantium Mantle. It just hasn't... Does that strat also work on the Scorpius Whirlwind? And is there any reason to use a Scorpius in lieu of a standard pattern anymore? Unfortunately, it doesn't work on the Scorpion Crom. The Scorpion doesn't have the right keyword. I didn't realise that. But you need the Whirlwind keyword, and the Scorpius, although it is kind of better and it'll do more damage for you, the stratagem won't work on it. So I was like close to buying a Scorpius, and someone pointed that out to me. So hopefully I just saved you buying a Scorpius as well. But yeah, it's a little bit annoying. Alright, so we've got the captain on the bike, and I guess he is the Thunderhammer, Artisan of War, and I guess he probably took Adamantium Mantle. I mean, he could have taken Mastercrafted Weapon, but it looks like he went with Adamantium Mantle. Okay, and then we have Chaplain with Infernal Pistol, Jump Pack, Master of Sanctity, Wiserator, Mantra of Strength, the Benediction of Fury, and he's the hero of the chapter. So the Benediction of the Fury is great, I think. Oh, thank you so much, Highland. That's very kind of you. Appreciate the £5. It's usually dollars, but appreciate the £5 through Super Chat. Thank you very much. So this Chaplain has the jump pack. So this is a good mix, I guess, right? You've got the captain on the Storm Shield on the bike, who we know is crazy survivable. We have the Chaplain with the Wise Orator. I believe he's missing a litany here, in that if he has been upgraded to the Master of Sanctity, he can know 1 more litany. So +1 litany. Maybe the games, because this is a list exported from the Games Workshop app, maybe it doesn't quite have the right things here. And then Mephiston, roll for 3 random powers. No, you do not roll for 3 random powers. You pick Quickening, you pick Wings, and you pick probably Unleash Rage, maybe Situational, Shield of Sanguinius. Roll for 3 random powers, lol. That's not happening. And delete that line. So you can pick Mephiston and you can be a badass, but you do not roll for 3 random powers, Gary. Okay, troop-wise, Assault Squad or Assault Intercessors with a Plasma Pistol. This is like a low-value pick. If you really have 5 points you can't spend anywhere else, sure, put a Plasma Pistol on it, but like, I really think it's a low-value play. generally you can't fire plasma pistols on high power ever unless you're willing to lose your sergeant, which why would you be willing to do that, So, one assault intercessor squad and 2 Phobos squads, and I like having 2 Phobos squads for sure, and I guess I'm okay with 1 assault intercessor squad. I do that. Well, defaulted by the app, I'll always be picking powers. Oh, hey Gary, thanks for tuning in today. So yeah, I kind of run this like 2 Phobos squads, 2 to set up in concealed positions, and then 1 assault intercessors to probably head for the middle of the board, right? Then we have the company champion, and he is the chapter champion, and that is, it's a very solid pick to take. Then we have the Death Company Marines, and these are just 5 Death Company. I assume that you've put jump packs on these guys, but it doesn't say. I'm trying to think the points cost. 15, 20, I think that's 30, 35, 45, 50. So maybe there isn't jump packs on this Death Company, but like I feel like if you don't have jump packs on the Death Company, I'd lose the plasma pistol, I'd maybe even lose the hand flamer and get jump packs on these. I think jump pack is very important on the Death Company. Another quick question: if I use Battle Scribe for my lists till the app is buggered or complete, but the battle captain, as discussed, always shows as illegal due to having 2 relics, is that a glitch? No, it's not a glitch. You can have 2 relics. You just need to make sure you take the Angel's Exemplar Warlord trait, this one here. I generally, like, Battle Scribe is always... I haven't been using Battle Scribe for the longest time now because it usually takes them so long to update it. It's better to just build it from the rules, man. So yeah, that's where that is. The Sanguinary Guard, and it's quite a small Sanguinary Guard. Axe, Infernal Pistol, and a Power Fist. I think your points cost might be off here actually, because Axes and Infernal Pistols only usually cost 5 points. And then Power Fist only costs 5 points as well, so I think this should only be like 140? Oh no, sorry, there's a 5, sorry, it's 5, 2 with... It's weird how it does that actually, like it doesn't... It goes 1, 1, 2, 1. Like, I feel like it should do them in ascending order or something, but that's fine. Okay, so it's a 5-man Sanguinary Guard, sorry. Yeah, that's right. We have a Leviathan Dreadnought with 3 Hunter Killer Missiles and the Storm Cannon. Storm Cannon is in a strange place right now. I think that the Grav Flux is generally performing better. And also, you didn't mention other weapons on the Leviathan. Drop the Heavy Flamers and take the Volkites if you haven't done that already. The Volkites are generally going to be better in most situations, I think, than the Heavy Flamers. And I mean, unless I guess you're not running it as a melee, if you're running it purely as shooting, then maybe you can keep the Heavy Flamers. I like to take a claw on my Leviathan. I think Leviathan's a big scary dreadnought that you generally want in close combat, because you want the enemy to have to waste fire on it, and if it's charging across the battlefield, then they're going to have to shoot it, because once it gets in melee, its claw's pretty dangerous, right? Especially for us, what's that, like a strength 14 claw, with +1 to wound, you'll wound everything in the game on 2s, so I like the claw a lot in the Leviathan. And then we've got the Vanguard Veteran Squad with Infernal Pistol and Relic Blade on the Sergeant, and then Power Swords, Jump Packs and Storm Shields on the other guys, which is cool. And then, wow, okay, we talked about these last night, saying nobody runs Predators anymore. Well, apparently, Gary, you run 2 Predators, both with las cannons, and a couple of different weapon options here. Thanks for taking the time to check out my list and keep up the great content. Yeah, no, you're welcome, Gary. So, yeah, the Leviathan was the Grav Flux, the Storm Cannon, and then I guess maybe... Would you run Grav and Claw? Yeah, that's how I run mine at the moment. I used to run Storm Cannon and Claw and Flamers. Now I run Grav, Claw, and Volkites. And I think if you're gonna have 2 big weapons, like if you're gonna take the Storm Cannon and the Grav, then you can probably take the Heavy Flamers, just so you can try and like Heavy Flamer anyone that charges the Leviathan to death, and get those auto hits in Overwatch or whatever. But I think a Claw is I mean, that's one of the reasons the Redemptor Dreadnought's so strong, is like it does good shooting, but then if it gets in close range, it can just wreck with the claw. And the Leviathan will just wreck with the claw as well, you know? Like, I think if you give a Leviathan a claw, it gets +1 attacks as well. So you're talking about 7 attacks. Yeah, sure, you only hit on 3s, but once you hit, you won't anything in the game on 2s, and it'll be like... It's going to take the Leviathan to turn 3 to get into combat anyway, right? Because, like... It's going to have to walk across the board for 2 turns. So once you're in combat, it's going to be -4. So unless they have an invulnerable save, you're literally going to be able to do like flat 15 damage to them or something. It's going to be generally very good. So, yeah, I'm liking most of what I see, right? What I don't like are these Predators. In my opinion, they're overcosted and they don't generally survive very well. And of course, because they don't have the core keyword in any shape or form, there's no way to give them rerolls. One of the strategies that I really like to do is you have this captain on the bike who is your chapter master, right? And he starts on the battlefield. So in that first turn, when he starts on the battlefield, in the command phase... Oh, hey Michael, thank you so much for becoming a veteran of the company. Welcome to the channel. There are some posts over on the member section, so you can check them out now in the community tab. If you have any questions, hit me up and I'm more than happy to help. But thank you very much for becoming the member of the upper tier. That's much appreciated. What I really like to do with this captain, right, is deploy him within 6 inches of Eradicators or like a Redemptor Dreadnought or something that's going to get a lot of value from his rerolls, right? So he gives his rerolls to said unit, and then he zooms off across the battlefield with his 20-inch move, 14 inches plus his 6-inch default turbo boost advanced or whatever it's called. So basically you're going to give something complete rerolls in turn 1. Now if you've got 2 Predators here and you've got Hunter-Killer missiles on like your Leviathan, the first, like, do you own a Redemptor Dreadnought? Because a Redemptor Dreadnought literally costs 180 points. And that is with the Macro Plasma Cannon, the Onslaught Cannon, the Fist, the Stormbolters, and then for 5 points more you can take the Rocket Pods. So how is that Macro Plasma... How is a Redemptor Dreadnought going to perform compared to a Predator Annihilator? I would say it's going to perform just as good, if not better. And then we're talking about... We can now give it full rerolls for all its hit rolls for that turn. And the other great thing, I guess, about the Redemptor is it's got more wounds. And it's got Duty Eternal as well. So everything that hits it is -1 damage. And, I mean, it has that great claw as well that can do, 4 to 6 damage as well. So, like, if you do not have... if you don't have a Redemptor Dreadnought, like... that needs to be your next purchase here, because that will just make this list way better straight away. Predators to me feel a little bit like Tactical Marines, and that they've been left a little bit behind. Like a lot of other units have moved forward, new damage rolls like multi-meltas, I guess the update to like the Primaris tanks and stuff, and it just feels like Predators have been neglected. I feel like I think I said on stream last night, I feel like they're overcosted by like 20 or 30 points at least, and obviously they don't have the core rule as well, so there's nothing you can do to buff them up. I was thinking of splitting into 2 formations, add a Sanguinary Priest and a Blade Guard. Would that leave me short on shooting? I mean, it might leave you a little bit short on shooting. I usually recommend about 400 points of shooting for Blood Angels. But I don't know if you were here earlier in the stream when we were talking about how good the Whirlwinds are right now. So, like, if you are not super sold on these Predators, get yourself a what is this, 355 points? You can get yourself a Whirlwind and still leave yourself like 240 points. That could fit a Redemptor. That could also fit like a Redemptor plus a bike with multi-melta on it. Or you could have some Eradicators or the Whirlwind Eradicators, and then you've got 100 points left over. You mentioned Blade Guard Veterans. The Blade Guard Veterans are like 105 points. So I definitely think there's a few small changes you could do. The Predators just stand out to me as lackluster. Everything else makes sense. I would get jump packs on this Death Company for sure, so that they can potentially deep strike. If you do go the claw route, then I'd take the Volkites. Otherwise, keep the heavy flamers. And relics of the chapter wise, what have we got? So you've got the Benediction of Fury on this guy. And I guess you haven't mentioned what relic your Warlord has. So I assume that you're going to take Angel's... Well, there's two choices here, I guess. There's Angel's Artifice if you want to make him crazy survivable, or there's the Hammer of Baal if you want to do a load of damage. And then I guess that would leave you the choice of, like, you could take a relic on this company chapter champion, and there's a few good options here as well. There's the Armor Indomitus to make this guy, like, pretty tanky, or there's that special Blade of Triumph, which is like strength +3, -3 AP, 3 damage, you know, so there's a few options here. I really need a Blood Angels Redemptor. The only one I use is Ultramarines right now. Yeah, I mean, the Redemptors are... Often when I'm making my weekly videos, we look at his Redemptors as like a baseline, because they're really competitive in terms of survivability and damage for their points cost. So, and whiffing a las cannon shot is painful. Yeah, and I mean, if you do in that first turn, if your chapter master gives the rerolls to the Redemptor, then you can happily fire those plasma guns on high power, because you get to reroll everything, you know. And it's only natural ones, and even if you roll a 1 twice, it's not that bad. It's just 1 mortal wound off a 13 wound model, so that's not bad at all, right? Okay, so yeah, I mean, I'd probably consider switching out those Predators, giving the Death Company some jetpacks, or jump packs rather. I get that you want to have Mephiston like this, that's fine. Mephiston's a cool character, just the one thing to be aware of is, like, he isn't that survivable because he has no invulnerable save, so as long as you play around that and keep that in the forefront of your mind, I think he's fine to play. I would like to see a few more models in the Sanguinary Guard. I really think Sanguinary Guard work best when it's like 7+. 7 to 9 is my preferred Sanguinary Guard. So yeah, maybe lose the Predators, get a Whirlwind, add 2 guys to the Sanguinary Guard, and then you got enough points left over for either like a Redemptor or Eradicators, probably something like that. Or attack bikes with multi-battles. That's a really good option as well right now too. Oh, and get your jump packs on these guys. So yeah, because you've actually got 60 points here. I didn't even see that. Okay, yeah, you could definitely do that. But if you don't own those models, I guess you can wait. But I just feel like you're going to struggle a little bit with these Predators. I feel like if you're going to run a lot of armor now, you kind of have to take that Tech Marine to give them the +1 ballistic skill. So running 350 points without it, it's a bit ugly. And then the other great thing, I guess, about the Redemptor Dreadnought is if you have the Redemptor Dreadnought, you actually give the enemy 2 big targets that they have to deal with. You know, like sometimes having the Leviathan and the Redemptor Dreadnought, if the enemy's going to have to spend all their time shooting those dreadnoughts, then your Sanguinary Guard, your Death Company, your Vanguard Veterans, these units, which are arguably our strongest units, are moving across the map unhindered, killing things indiscriminately, and that can actually just win you games, because we sometimes talk about like the distraction Carnifex, and I guess what I mean by that is just like a big model that's in the middle of the board that's like, oh shit, I cannot let the Leviathan get in close combat with such and such because his claw will kill it. So I need to spend my las cannons or whatever shooting the Leviathan, and you hope the Leviathan can shrug off the damage, right? And that can actually, it can literally win you games. So yeah, so cool list, Gary. Welcome to Blood Angels, by the way, if you've been playing Deathwatch. It was Grey Knights from 4th edition. Really glad to have you over here in the channel. I hope this was of use. But yeah, I mean, obviously I love Blood Angels, so it's nice to see some people picking it up, even if it isn't. And then, do you know what? In the future, as cool as Mephiston is, do consider yourself picking up the Librarian Dreadnought, because he is an absolute baller. I did a video, I actually did 2 videos, one's quite old, so make sure you watch the newer one, of Mephiston versus the Librarian Dreadnought. And the Librarian Dreadnought can get buffed up to, I believe it's like do you know what? I'm just going to look at my codex real quick, because I don't want to give you any wrong information. Here it is, Librarian Dreadnought. So he has 4 attacks, and he makes an additional attack every turn with his halberd, right? So if he charges, and he's got Savage Echoes up, it's 6 attacks. So 6 attacks, 7 attacks here, and then you cast Quickening to add D3, so you can get 10 attacks. If you take the Warlord trait on him, and the one that I think synergizes pretty crazy is, well, there's 2 actually. You can take Imperium Sword, so you can basically add 1 additional attack when he charges, or you can take Champion of Humanity, which means when he's in range of an enemy character, he adds +1 to his attack, and he adds +1 to his hit roll, right? So if you take either of those, let's say you take the one that I like, Champion of Humanity, that gives him potentially 11 attacks, and if he's in engagement range of enemy characters, he gets +1 to his hit, so his weapon skill is literally 11 attacks, hitting on 2s, right? And then he's obviously got this fist, which is 2 times strength, so that's strength 12, minus 3 damage. So, and then I guess the one thing to say is, remember it's strength 12 with a +1 to her wound roll as well. So pretty much you wound anything toughness 10. You would wound toughness 11 units on 2s. I don't know if anything even has over toughness 10 right now. I don't even know if anything has toughness 10, because they removed a bunch of the Forge World units that had toughness 9, got reduced to 8. So this guy literally hits 11 times against enemy characters on 2s, he wounds on 2s, and then, it's potentially -4 and a flat 3 damage. So the Librarian Dreadnought is baller for 155 points. So Mephiston is brilliant now at killing infantry, probably not so good at killing characters or armour, whereas your Librarian Dreadnought now can just destroy characters and armour. Sorry Alex, I did your list first today. I guess you can catch up on it and come back to me in the chat with any questions you may have. Okay, so that's kind of where... So we'll score your list on what you have here, Gary, but hopefully we've made some suggestions to make it better. Hey Joseph, thank you very much for becoming a member. That is much appreciated. As I said before, there are some member-only posts over on the community tab of the YouTube channel, so hit me up if you have any questions. Imperium Sword gives +1 strength as well. Yeah, that's true. So Imperium Sword would actually make your halberd... Oh yeah, because the Dreadnought's halberd is only strength 8, right? But so 1 attack was at strength 8, and then I guess your other 10 attacks can potentially be at strength 12. The 1 attack at strength 8 though can potentially do 6 damage. So Librarian Dreadnought can be an absolute boss. I like him a lot. Good afternoon, Krychek. How you doing? Okay, so I like your characters a lot. We've done like a small suggestion on how we could improve them. I also like the 2 Phobos units. 1 Assault Intercessor Squad is fine. Honestly, I'd probably just drop the Plasma Pistol unless you feel strongly about it, but I think that's 5 points that could basically be spent probably better elsewhere. Like if we talk about getting a Redemptor, that's the difference between the rocket pods. I like the company champion. I mean, he's great. We made suggestions on the relics. I would like to see jump packs on the Death Company, so it gives you that deep strike potential. Okay, I think that's everything. Let's have a look at OBSEC then. So I think we're on an 8.5 because we got two Phobos units and 1 other troop choice. How do we do against infantry and hordes? Right now we do okay. I guess we have that Leviathan and we have those Predators. So I guess we're probably sitting at like an 8. But I mean, we have made suggestions on how you could do that better. How do we do against heavy armour? Then again, I think we do okay. The Death Company might struggle to get them where they need to be. I'd like to see another couple of guys added to the Sanguinary Guard. I mean, we do have 3 Hunter Killer missiles, which I guess are useful. But I mean, I think what would be more useful is trying to put those points into more Sanguinary Guard for the rest. For the rest of the game. I guess our Vanguard veterans can do meltas. We do get 4 las cannon shots. It's nothing amazing, but we do have 4 of them, and then we do have like a thunder hammer here. And the Benediction of Fury can actually do a lot of work against armor because with Mantra of Strength, you You could potentially have that Benediction of Fury on, like, I think it's strength 7, so it does wound armor on 3s, with mortal wounds being on 6s as well. So I think your anti-vehicle monster right now is probably closer to an 8.5. Again, there's just a few changes you could do to improve it. I mean, just with these last 57 points you have, you could just take a multi-melta attack bike. That would improve it considerably as well. Commanding Oratory can be used in any phase if it wasn't used in the command phase. Correct. That is correct, Alex. Yeah, you can use it. So basically, you can use Commanding Oratory to basically deep strike in and then get that +2 to your charge roll. Mobility, Gary. Yeah, I mean, I guess your mobility is average. I do think you need a few more Sanguine Guard. I do think you need jump packs on the Death Company. Maybe it's slightly above average because you could Guerrilla Tactics 2 squads of Phobos. And then I guess the Predators, yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. The Predator pick confuses me because I don't see a lot of value in them right now. And then Specialization. I don't think this list is too specialized. I think you've done a good job of trying to like cover all your bases. But I do think I've made some suggestions on how you could make it a little bit stronger. So maybe we'll say it's like an 8. Based on the fact that like you haven't picked quite the most optimal units, but hopefully with the suggestions we've made, you can take it from here and make it a bit stronger. So yeah, let's say like 40.5 out of 50. So I wouldn't say it's bad by any what I'm trying to say. I wouldn't say it's bad like in any real way, but I do think that there is a few tweaks you could make to improve it. So thank you for the submission, Gary, and yeah, I really hope it helps. You know, if you haven't seen, we do have a Facebook group in the video description, so we do generally answer some questions over there as well. So yeah, or make some more lists, make some more changes, and submit me another list once you're a bit more confident playing Blood Angels. I have dad duties to attend to. Yeah, no worries, man. I'm glad you enjoyed the list. You're very welcome. Okay, so next we're looking at Justin, and this is the 2 Redemptor Whirlwind list that I mentioned. Alright, Justin, I don't 100% remember this because we do look at a lot of lists, but should be interesting. I think... Is this word wrapping? Okay, yeah. 2 Redemptors and a Whirlwind probably is the upper limit of shooting for me. Because I think like 2 Redemptors and a Whirlwind is going to be like 500 points, so it's probably about the upper limit, but let's see where we go. Okay, so this list starts with 2 extra relics, and we have the Chapter Master, who is the Soul Warden, who has a Chainsword, Infernal Pistol, he has a Jump Pack, he has Rites of War, he's the Angel's Exemplar, and he's the Warlord. So I guess Soul Warden and Rites of War are the 2 Warlord traits he's taken. Okay, so slightly different here. A Jump Pack character with a bubble of Feel No Pain Against Mortal Wounds. We have the Primaris Librarian, who's the Chief Librarian, and is also the Tomb of Malachor. And this is good, I guess, like taking these 4 key psychic powers, the Null Zone, the Veil of Time, the Psychic Fortress, the Unleash Rage. The one issue, I guess, is because he's Primaris Librarian, he's going to have no Jump Pack. So getting around on the battlefield might be a little issue, but I guess we'll see. We have the Sanguinary Priest with Icon of the Angel, and he is the Selfless Healer, so very standard Sanguinary Priest sort of deal here. Troop-wise, we have 2 Infiltrator squads and 2 Intercessor squads. The Intercessors equipped with one with bolt rifles, one with auto bolt rifles, and the 2 Infiltrator squads. So this gives like a lot of zoning, and I guess a decent amount of OBSEC, so that's kind of interesting. We have a small Death Company, and it's 3 Thunderhammers and 2 Chainswords with Jump Packs. Not normally how many Thunderhammers I would run, but I mean, I guess this list is a bit different to normal. Then we have 2 Redemptor Dreadnoughts, Frag Storms, Rocket Pods, Macroplasma, and Onslaught Cannon. I mean, I believe that you get slightly more value out of the Storm Bolters on Dreadnoughts because of Bolter Discipline, but I mean, it's potato. There's very little in it. So 2 Redemptor Dreadnoughts, and then 2 big Sanguinary Guard squads. Both looks like it's 8-man, 1 full of swords, 1 full of axes. I mean, I'd probably actually mix those, so it's like 4 axes and 4 swords in each squad. But I mean, just so that both squads can react better on the battlefield. But I mean, I guess that is. I like that HQ and troop selection similar to my own. Yeah, I mean, I'm not so sure about the need for 4 troop choices, but I mean, I guess it's fine. And then, yeah, last of all, then we just have the whirlwind in there to obviously deal with any shenanigans, I guess, with the fight first, fight last thing. So what I'm trying to say. So the whirlwind and the librarian are like very important for a Blood Angels list. They give us a lot of value. The 2 Redemptors are kind of like this last list with Gary in that he uses like a Redemptor and a Leviathan. I think it's good. I think it soaks up a lot of fire. I think it can dish out a decent amount of fire. Do you know what? Actually, looking at this list in hindsight, I'd probably actually drop one of these troop choices and maybe add like... I was going to say, drop 100 points of troops, drop 2 guys out of the... 1 out of each squad of Sanguinary Guard, and then you could probably take like a... How many points would that give you? 160. You could take like a 5-man Vanguard Veteran squad with Storm Shields and Lightning Claws, because I think that's 140 points, so it would leave like 20. Maybe you could even drop 1 Thunder Hammer, which would leave you 35 points. Yeah, I'd probably do that, and then you could have like... So you could have 6 Death Company, you could have 5 Vanguard Vets, you could have these 2 7-man Sanguinary Guards, you'd have the 2 Redemptors, you'd still have 2 Infiltrators and an Incursor squad, an Intercessor squad, then you'd have your 3 HQs. So this is a pretty competitive list. I know that like I've seen a lot of people make a lot of wins with 2 Redemptor Dreadnoughts. I much prefer keeping my weapons all the same on a unit. It makes it easier to work out and quicker to play, and it means you get to keep focused on the optimal targets first. Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense in some situations for sure, Tony, and I know some people really prefer having the weapon loadouts the same in every squad as well. I've never really played that way, and maybe it's just because I like sneaking an Infernal Pistol or 2 into each Sanguinary Guard, just because, like, you know, for example, the other day I was playing... I guess it was a month or 2 ago now with the lockdown, but one of the last games I played, there was a Demon Prince, you know, and I was going to charge him, and it was like a Demon Prince and like some other unit next to him, and I jumped forward with the Sanguinary Guard, and I just managed to like shoot an Infernal Pistol at point blank range into the Demon Prince and do 7 damage. It pretty much killed him, and, you know, it doesn't happen very often, but I mean, for 5 points... That's why I guess I just rate a few Infernal Pistols here and there over like a Plasma Pistol. And I know it is very short range. Okay, so... but yeah, I mean, this list seems... I think it's a good list as it stands. I think there's maybe a few changes I would make to it, but I don't actually own 2 Redemptors with this loadout. I own 2, but one's an easy to build model. But I do actually want to buy a second one to try this, because I do think it is very strong. Hey Chase, thanks for subscribing, appreciate it. So I think this is a solid list. I think it has a solid core. It has the fight first, fight last shenanigans. Hey, thanks for death. You know, we have that Bubble of Sore Warden. I might have liked to see like a better weapon on this Chapter Master. You know, like maybe you could be running like Hammer of Baal or something. I guess he already does have 2 relics of the chapter. Yeah, that's tricky. But yeah, I would have liked to see a better weapon on the Chapter Master, I guess. But overall, I think it is very competitive, and yeah, I mean, it's not a million miles from the lists I'm running, by all means. I do think we need to look at Sanguinary Guard versus Vanguard Veterans in more detail in the future, because I do think Vanguard Veterans are in a great place right now. And I guess I like the utility of having both, but I mean, I know a lot of people run multiple squads of Sangre Guard. That list, the competitive list we looked at a few weeks ago, had 3 squads of Sangre Guard, right? So, okay, so I think for OBSEC we're going to go with like a 9.5. We have 4 troop choices, and we also have Rights of War, so that is generally going to be as about OBSECing as we can get. I think the Redemptors give us a lot of clear against Chaff, right? Like we can chew through a ton of crap on the board, and we can also Chapter Master reroll those Redemptors early game. I guess we can even pop like Wisdom of the Ancient to get yeah, we can. Can you mastercraft a relic blade? Yes, you can mastercraft a relic blade. It's not actually a relic. I know it's very confusing, but a relic is just like stated on that relic page within the codex, right? Yeah, so I think the Redemptors can do a lot of work, and like four troop choices. There's a lot of guns in there, and then there's a lot of bolt guns from the Sangre Guard, and there's a whirlwind. So I think like this list can clear a lot of stuff. This may actually be able to clear the most we've seen today, so maybe it needs to be like a 9. How does it do against monsters? Well, I mean, it doesn't have any Power Fists on the Sangre Guard, but that isn't usually too much of an issue in that all these will wound on 4s anyway. It does have 3 Thunder Hammers. It does have those claws from the Redemptors if they do get into close combat. As I say, I would have liked to see a better weapon on this Chapter Master. I think a Chainsword is lackluster, especially on a guy that can get like 8 attacks or something. And he's going to be, he's going to be one of your most survivable or one of your strongest characters. A Chainsword on him just seems like a bit of a waste. So maybe we'll do like an 8-5 here. But you know what? We'll maybe make it a 9 because those Redemptors can really chew through any sort of target they get up against. Mobility wise, I guess, is a little bit less, but I mean, it's still not really problematic. It's just your Redemptors and the Whirlwind, I guess, that are really going to be immobile, and maybe the 2 Intercessors. But yeah, I think mobility is like an 8.5. Oh shit, I put that in the wrong row. And then specialization, I don't think this list is really too specialized at all. I think if it was up to me, I would make a few little changes. I think I've mentioned them. But I think overall, like you guys are saying in chat, this is definitely a very competitive list. And Highland did point out that Sangre Guard do get to heroically intervene for 1 CP, and they do get the +1 to hit from being in the Warlord. That is very true as well. Maybe when we compare them against Vanguard Vets, then we'll try and include that just so that we know that we're making an absolute good. Yeah, I mean, I think it's like it's an 8.5, and if it's 8.5, then it ties Highland Phoenix's list from earlier, and if it's a 9, it beats Highland Phoenix's list. Let me go look at what Highland had again. Yeah, the interesting thing with Highland was his bikers. That's what made me struggle to rate that list, right? So I guess we'll go with a 9. And right now, I guess this means that Justin's probably got today's strongest list. I mean, I think that's maybe harsh on Highland because I don't know about those bikers, but yeah, this is a strong list. Do you know what? I forgot that the library. Actually, do you know what? I forgot this librarian doesn't have a jump pack because it's so common that they have the jump pack. So maybe we'll take the mobility down to 8. And then you end up tying the list with Highland Phoenix because your null zone isn't going to be as effective if your Primaris Librarian has to run across the battlefield as opposed to either deep striking or jumping in with Wings of Sanguinius. So it's a strong list, but yeah, a couple of little changes maybe, and maybe this needs to be. I mean, maybe it just needs to be considered on losing the Unleash Rage and getting like Wings of Sanguinius. Or going the other way, I guess, and taking 3 powers from the Sangre discipline and just taking like Null Zone from the other one, I guess, would be another option to do it. Yeah, he did the 5 Relic Terminators with Chain Fist, so that was a pretty interesting list. Alright, and then Yeah, I don't think Justin is in chat today, but hopefully if you're catching up in the replay, or hopefully it was useful for you, Justin. But yeah, overall I think it's a very strong list. I think there's just very small changes that you could make to make it. But yeah, I think chat are sort of echoing that the librarian needs to have wings. He needs to be mobile in some way, either via the jump pack or to have wings. So, I mean, the librarian I'm doing at the moment is in Terminator armor, and 100% I'm giving him wings. Just the Terminator armor is to make him more survivable, but I mean, there's the argument there. You could just take the regular guy, and instead of having to do the multi-discipline thing, you could just give him artificer armor, and it's exactly the same, basically. Okay, and then this last list, we're just going to say it's by crit, because there's absolutely no way I'm pronouncing this name right. Hey, I'm kind of new to the hobby. I like Blood Angels a lot, and I love watching your videos. I'm trying to build my list, but it seems like I'm not good at it, so I need your recommendations about a list. I hope you add my list to your next video. Can't wait to see it. Alright, I don't think English is maybe Crit's first language either, so hopefully we can give him some advice. So we have a Librarian Dreadnought, and I guess we have to start with the Librarian Dreadnought cannot take Veil of Time. It can only take Sanguinary Discipline powers, and you actually get 2. So you can take Quickening and Wings are the good choices. And someone actually took Fear Made Manifest before, and this is the weirdest Warlord trait ever. Like, I am never picking this. And it's just like, it basically makes like leadership worse or something. Subtract 1 from leadership test with models within 6 of this unit. Like, it's not great. You asked me to improve your list, so take Iron Resolve or Champion of Humanity. Both of those will make that guy way stronger. Then we have a Primaris Chaplain, who has the Canticle of Hate and the Litany of Hate. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. And then we have the Sanguinary Priest, who is, let us guess, the Jump Pack, Chief Apothecary, Indomitus Armor. The Sanguinary Priest is almost just got to be in everybody's list, right? Like, I wonder how many other... I wonder what percentage of lists include the Sanguinary Priest right this. And then for troops, we have 2 Incursor Squads and Assault Intercessor Squad. I think I like this. I do prefer 3 Phobos, but I'm okay with 1 Assault Intercessor Squad. I kind of find that they usually die for me in No Man's Land, which is why I prefer all Phobos, but I mean, maybe you can make this work. Then we have quite a large 5-man Blade Guard Veteran Squad. I assume these are to hold the middle of the board with the company champion. He's actually only 70 points, so I don't know where you've lost 10 points here. Not sure where the extra 10 points are coming from. I guess maybe you could give him... I didn't even think the company champion had any weapon options, honestly. Maybe I skipped over it when I made my company champion. Can't find it. Company champion. No, he doesn't have any weapon options, so I don't know how he got 80 points then. Really don't know how he got to 80 points. Should only be 70, so save yourself 10 points there. Then we've got very large Death Company, and this just looks like 10 Death Company, all with bolters and chainswords. You want to have at least 1 Thunderhammer, maybe even 2. Probably 2 in a 10-man squad, but yeah, you need at least 1 heavy weapon in that big Death Company. If you have to drop a model, like you can go with 9 men and 2 Thunderhammers, I would say that would be better than your just 10 with bolt gun and chainsword. The Sanguinary Ancient, who has the icon of the angel, I guess it's fine, but I don't know if I overly rate this pick. We've talked a bit about it already. Maybe there's better option, like just drop this guy completely, and like if you're not going to run the Wrath of Baal, then drop him, and why not change your Primar's Chaplain here to a Chaplain on a bike can give him the Icon of the Angel. He can move 20 inches, and then I'm sure he can get that Icon of the Angel for the rerolls wherever he needs to be after a 20-inch move. And then Sanguinary Guard, and it's 8 with Power Fists, 3 Outriders, 3 Eradicators, and then your Impulsor. I assume, again, that was for your Blade Guard veterans to get to the middle of the board or something like that. I think on your Impulsor you actually want the Shield Dome. I don't think you get a huge amount of value from Stubbers and, like Stormbolters and Stubbers. If they ever take a wound off anything, it's a fucking miracle. So I don't really rate them at all. And then the Iron Hail Sky Talon array. Oh, it's basically another Stubber with 8 shots. Again, I think you're better just taking the Shield Dome on the Impulsor and just keep it alive and make it go sit in an objective and basically, or go sit in a board corner or sit in the enemy deployment zone and get you some points. I don't think a Stubber really ends up killing very much at all, but that's just my preference. Yeah, the Whirlwind, that's a very good point. The Whirlwind is the exact same choice as the Ancient. If you're going to run Wrath of Baal on the Ancient, I'm fine with you taking the Ancient. If you're not going to run Wrath of Baal on the Ancient, I don't think it's the right call. Why did Death Company reduce Games Workshop? No, why did Games Workshop reduce the Death Company to only 10? I don't entirely know why they reduced it. It's a little bit annoying, I guess, but I guess it is what it is. And people in chat are saying that you're correctly only 70 points for this, and yeah, you need 2 Thunderhammers and a 10-man squad for sure. Outriders is a 3-man squad. As long as they're going to link up with something else in the board, I think they'll be fine. On their own, I don't think they do that much killing. Enjoy dinner, Krychek. We'll see you soon. Thanks for tuning in today. Okay, and yeah, maybe you... Is this the whole 2,000 points? Yeah. No, he's got 10 points free. Okay. So yeah, it would actually be easy enough to add, because you overspent 10 points on this chapter champion, it'd be easy enough to add at least 1 Thunderhammer to the Death Company. I do feel like maybe there's something to be said about having... Yeah. Either having a Whirlwind for this Ancient or changing out this Primaris Chaplain to... Because the Primaris Chaplain has no way to deep strike, so the Canticle of Hate will be less valuable because you're not going to have him exactly where he needs to be, and the Primaris Chaplain only moves 6 inches. If you change him out to Primaris Chaplain on a bike, you obviously get that 20-inch move in turn 1. He can then be where you need to be. Do you bother to toss a Hunter Killer on your Whirlwind? I try to hide my Whirlwind behind a building where he's completely obscured, right? So the enemy can't shoot it at all. I mean, I guess you could set it on an objective, but in an ideal world, you just hide it in a board corner because it doesn't need line of sight, right? So no, I wouldn't put a Hunter Killer on the Whirlwind unless there's absolutely nowhere else you could spend those 5 points, I guess. I just don't think it would be worth it. You can also sometimes deploy the Whirlwind in such a way that it really baits your opponent to come and kill it. So again, the Whirlwind is hidden, so probably not. Okay, but I mean, he said he was new, so I guess as a new player, he's got some decent choices here. He just needed to improve some of his powers on the Dreadnought. Maybe change out this Chaplain a little bit because he's not going to synergize so well. I mean, maybe if the Chaplain is in... I was going to say that maybe if the Chaplain's in the Impulsor, but then, yeah, maybe you want the Shield Dome in the Impulsor, and maybe at that point, if the Chaplain is in the Impulsor, then maybe you don't need Canticle of Hate, because your Impulsor is, I suppose, moving forward 14 and then advancing D6 in turn 1, so maybe you want Mantra of Strength. And then, yeah, I mean, the Ancient is just a weird... do you know what? I get that you want to have the icon of the angel on the unit that you drop down. If that's the case and you really want to do that, then maybe you need just a chaplain with a jump pack. Give him the icon of the angel and spend these points on something better. Okay, so as a new player, I think it's a decent list. I think it's got the ideas right, and I think we can score it. And I think objective wise, it's probably like 2 full boss units, so it's like an 8.5. Anti-horde, I guess we're a little bit light on guns in this list. I mean, we do have the eradicators. I mean, I guess as it stands, you could kill some chaff with your impulsor, but I mean, like, it's pretty unlikely. So maybe it has a little bit of problem against horde armies. Maybe it's even less actually against horde armies. Oh, do you know what? It does have some outriders, so I guess that is like what? Outriders are rapid fire too, so it's 12 bolter shots. So I mean, it's got something, but nothing amazing. Yeah, maybe go back and say 7.5, and then vehicles. I mean, it does have ways to kill vehicles, in that but as it stands, without these Thunderhammers right now, I guess it is a bit weaker. It does have the Sanguinary Guard with some Power Fist. It does have some Eradicators. And, I mean, I guess we do have our Librarian Dreadnought. So, I think it's like an 8.5. It's mobility. I mean, we've got some Bikers. We've got a decent amount of Jump Pack units. We've also got a Transport. So, yeah, I mean, mobility is generally pretty good. I guess it's like an 8.5. Maybe an 8, based on what we scored things earlier today. And then specialization, I don't think it's too specialized. Like, I think it's got a lot of tools, but I guess, like, I feel like the tools need improved a little bit. Like, this chaplain just seems a bit average to me. The Death Company loadout seems a bit average. And yeah, the impulsor loadout seems a bit strange in that, like, I just don't think the impulsor really kills much very often. Hey, Big Chief, welcome back. So I guess there's that. Okay. So maybe it's like an 8 as well, something like that. Do you know what? Maybe that's a bit. Maybe it's more like a 7.5. But I don't think it's a long way from being competitive, right? Like, I think that it could be made competitive reasonably decently. It needs some tweaks. Yeah, I think he's putting the Primaris Chaplain in the Impulsor as well. Do you know what? I don't know if the Impulsor is dragging the list down. I think the Impulsor, along with the Sanguinary Ancient that has no Wrath of Baal, is maybe dragging it. You know, that's 250 points of not much. And then, yeah, I mean, I feel like if you're disembarking an Impulsor, though, you're not going to need Canticle of Hate. Like, the Impulsor is going to move forward, let's say, about 16 or 17 inches on first turn. So then you're going to move forward 3, then you're going to move your 6. So potentially you're 26 inches forward at that point. Why do you need Canticle of Hate? Like, you could totally take Mantra of Strength, right? If you're 26 inches forward and you're still going to fail your charge with your +1 Blood Angels, then I think you've picked the wrong target to try and get into combat with on turn 2. But yeah, and then the synergy is maybe a bit lower as well, because for me, the company champion is going to work best if he's sitting in the middle of the board with, like, your Death... not your Death Company, sorry, your Blade Guard veterans. But your Blade Guard veterans are gonna leave in an Impulsor, so maybe the idea is maybe the ideas are quite there, but I'm just not sure. Crit. I think maybe there's just too many ideas in this list, and I mean maybe with a, like, if you're going to take the Sangre Ancient, you're going to commonly want Wrath of Baal, and you're going to combo that up with a lot of jump units. Well, you've got Outriders here, and you've got an Impulsor, and so it's like I think you're just trying to do too many things. Drop Impulsor and Sang Priest, add Bike to Chaplain, or 2 or 3 hammers to Death Company and a Whirlwind. Yeah, I mean that's not a bad idea, Crom. I mean the other option I guess would be to add the Bike to the Bike to the Chaplain. Drop the Sangre Ancient for the Whirlwind, and then figure out what you're doing with the Impulsor and the Blade Guard Veterans and the Company Champion, because I really feel like the Blade Guard Veterans work best if they're with the Company Champion. Otherwise, where's the Champion going to be on the battlefield, right? Like, I feel like he works best if he's with a squad. Like he's on an objective with a squad and they are working together to basically, defeat powerful units. I'm not sure he works all that well on his own, especially not without like a relic or something, because he only has a combat shield, right? So he doesn't have the best save in the world, and he only has like, is it 4 wounds? So he isn't, he's only 4 wounds and he only has a 5+ invulnerable save. So I feel like the Company Champion along with the Blade Guard Vets work fine if these guys are moving to the middle of the board together and they're hold that. But if they're all buggering off in an Impulsor, then what is your Champion doing? Something like 39.5 for Crit's list. And I think we've said a few ways that we could definitely make it better. And I think it's just maybe, he did say he was a new player, so maybe he just needs to think a little bit more about like synergies, and like, I think he's put a lot of weight on charge rerolls, and I mean, charge rerolls are important, right? But like, I don't think I've run Icon of the Angel for a while. Like, I had that list that was on an 8-game winning streak, and I don't think it ran Icon of the Angel. Like, it just didn't, it wasn't in the list at all. Like, so he's gone for Icon of the Angel and the Canticle of Hate as his only litany. It just feels like maybe, like, making charges can be down to like good positioning and good play, and maybe that's something you learn once you've played the game a lot. So put the Company Champion in 1 3-man Blade Guard Vet in an Impulsor. Yeah, I mean maybe, but the problem is the Company Champion isn't a Primaris unit, right? So he can't go in a transport Crom, which is a little bit annoying. I wish they would hurry up and remove the rule that says certain units can't go in certain transports. It's just a bit annoying. Mighty Joe, man. You have a serious hate, Mighty Joe, for Primaris Marines, right? I mean, I'm indifferent. I think Blood Angels work best with the regular ones. It's just, if our regular troop choices were good, then I might be able to agree with full Firstborn, but because the regular troop choices have been left behind, it's a bit annoying. Okay, in fairness, John said, this is a new player and synergy is not a basic thing and can take experience, so yeah, some things can improve, but it's okay for a new player list. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's right. I think for a new player, do you know what? I think for a new player it's a decent list, and I guess maybe he's tried to build some synergies, but maybe he's just tried to do too many things in the list. And I think that's fine. And I think that probably you play a few games like this and you say like, oh well, these Outriders aren't performing for me, so they just need switched out, and then maybe you would double down on synergies anyway. So I don't own a Primaris vehicle, unfortunately. Oh, that's fair enough, Big Chief. So yeah, maybe this list could be improved a little bit based on that. So that is today's lists then, and we did have. Do you know what? We have a tie for first place today. So well done, Justin and Highland. I think your lists are both very competitive. Land Raider with Thundernators works great. Yeah. I wonder at some point. I haven't seen a single picture of Blood Angel Centurions yet in our Facebook group, and I wonder if somebody. I wonder who the first person will be to make those Assault Centurions and paint those up and try them in a Land Raider in a game. I really want to try them. I think it would just be fun to try them. But yeah, Land Raider with Thunderhammer Terminators works great too. So yeah, two pretty competitive lists. I guess if you're new here, we are here every Sunday, so please do consider, coming hanging out with us, subscribing, etc. As I say, the Sunday live show is here every week, and then hopefully this week the plan for the channel is to. I've already put like 4 hours of work into a battle report, and it's one of those custom like abridged battle reports that I do, where like I just talk over the strategies of everything, like all the plays during the game. So I've been working on that now for a few nights. My plan is to try and release that someday this week, hopefully Tuesday if things all go well, and then we will be back on Friday as always. And if you weren't here at the beginning of the stream, then I'll show you real quick, because on Friday we have 3 boxes to give away. Box 1 is our Land Speeder Storm, box 2 is our Primaris Eradicators, and box 3 is our Blade Guard Veterans. So you can hear that they're full. All 3 of these boxes will be given away on next Friday's video, so make sure you're around on Friday. I'm sure they're fine. They're all in the sprues. They'll get bashed when they get posted out anyway, I'm sure. Yeah, so make sure you check out next Friday's video. There should be should be fun, hopefully, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing who wins the kit. So probably what we'll do is we'll have a very simple question in the video. It'll be on Friday the 26th of May. And then I guess I'll leave that video like the whole week, and we'll announce the winners on the live show on Sunday the 7th. What did I say? The 26th of May? What month am I? 26th of February. So next Friday, 26th of February. Then we'll announce the winners on the 7th of March. I believe there's a program that like randomly picks YouTube comments. So all you need to do is, in the video that I put out next Friday, and I'll link it in the Facebook group, and I'll link it on the community tab as well, so it's easy for you guys to find. You just need to answer a very simple question, and then we'll use there's a program that will pick random YouTube comments, and it ignores duplicates. So like if anyone comments twice, it won't matter, it'll just ignore them, and we'll ask a simple question in the video. You answer the question, and then when we pick the random comments on stream, then if your comment's picked, we'll send you out one of those boxes. So that's the plan. Well, I hope you guys had a great Sunday. Thank you for joining the stream as well. What we'll do now is we'll just quickly look at who's up for next week. So next week we've got a couple of members again. So it's Interspatial, Tom Harris, and then Lagmeister, Matthew Ashcombe, and Skirmish Games. So they are the list that we'll be looking at next week, and that'll be live as normal as 4. Thank you very much for we got some new members today, which is awesome. We also got some super chats, so as always they are much appreciated. And yeah, I guess we'll see you guys hopefully on Tuesday with some sort of battle report. And then make sure you remember to keep an eye out for next Friday's video, because the kits are here to give away to our subscribers, so that'll be awesome. Well, I'm going to call it a day now. So thank you very much again for watching, and I guess we will see you all, very very soon in the next video. And if you do have any other questions that you want to drop me a message, you can do that. There's a Facebook group in the video description, and I think we are going to start like a Discord channel in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to be looking into that as well, because a few people mentioned last night that they prefer Discord to Facebook. So yeah, I'll get that set up at some point over the next week or so, and I'll get back to you on that as well. Okay. If there's... And Tom, meanwhile, has run 11 miles while we're doing the stream, so good on you, Tom, being nice and healthy for the rest of us sit on our butts. I do way too much sitting in this lockdown currently. And thanks to all the new people that checked out the stream as well today. Alright, have a nice rest of your weekend, guys, and I'm sure we'll see you all again soon. By the blood are we made. Peace.